Friends to the darkest corner. Today tales about a commute from hell. Thank you. Have a great week.
I used to think the worst thing about my daily commute was the delays, the endless excuses about signal failures and track work. But that was before I found myself on the 1147 northbound, the train they say doesn't exist, at least not on any official timetable. It was late October when it happened, the air brittle with that creeping cold that makes your bones ache before winter has even begun. I'd stayed too long at the office, finishing a project that wouldn't wait. By the time I trudged down to the platform, the last scheduled train had come and gone. I remember cursing under my breath when I saw the empty tracks stretching off into the darkness, the station half swallowed by shadows. That's when I heard it. A distant rumble, the soft hiss of brakes. A train. But the board still read, "No more services tonight." I almost laughed. Maybe I'd gotten lucky. Maybe they'd added an unscheduled late run. The train glided in silently, too quietly for something so big. Its exterior was dull silver, grimy in places like it hadn't been washed in decades. There were no logos, no numbers, not even graffiti, which was strange for this city. When the doors slid open, warm air rushed out, smelling faintly of stale coffee and wet wool. I stepped inside. There were maybe 5 or 6 other passengers scattered throughout the car, all of them sitting very still, their faces hidden behind newspapers or tilted down, half hidden under hats. Something about them made my stomach twist, but exhaustion overruled my unease. I found an empty window seat and sank into it with a sigh. The doors closed with a soft thud. The train jerked, then rolled forward. I remember pulling out my phone, but there was no signal. No Wi-Fi. Not even the ghost of a single bar. I stared out the window, but the darkness outside was absolute. No streetlights, no stations passing by, no graffiti-tagged walls, just black. About 10 minutes in, I realized something else. The lights overhead weren't flickering or humming the way they usually do. They glowed a sickly, unwavering yellow, too dim to fully banish the shadows pooling in the corners of the car. I tried to catch the conductor's eye when he passed. He was tall, wearing an old-fashioned uniform with brass buttons and a cap pulled low over his eyes. When I asked which stop was next, he didn't answer, just punched my ticket with a snap of his hole punch and moved on. I watched him go, feeling a chill crawl up the back of my neck. Minutes turned to half an hour, then an hour. There were no announcements, no sign of slowing down. I started to feel the panic bubble up in my chest. I stood and moved to the next car, hoping to find someone, anyone, who could explain where we were going. Each car was the same, dingy seats, yellowed lights, and silent passengers. Some of them looked up at me as I passed, but their eyes were wrong, glassy, sunken, too wide. One woman mouthed something at me. Her lips formed the words, "Don't look back." I ran. I don't know how long I moved through car after car. It felt endless. Sometimes I'd glance out the window. Still only blackness. I thought about pulling the emergency brake, but there wasn't one. Or if there was, it had been ripped out. Eventually, I burst into the last car. It was empty, except for an old man sitting in the far corner, staring at me. He looked normal, more normal than anyone else I'd seen. His suit was decades out of style, but clean. He beckoned me over with a trembling hand. "Sit," he rasped. I did. I didn't know what else to do. "You shouldn't be here," he said. His eyes darted around the car as if he expected it to overhear him. "Missed your last train, didn't you? That's how it gets you. This line, it picks up strays. People who linger too long in the in-between places. People no one will miss till morning." I opened my mouth to argue, but nothing came out. "It's hungry," he continued, voice dropping to a whisper. "It feeds on the lost, keeps 'em riding forever. Sometimes it lets you off if you're clever, if you don't look back." I thought of the woman's warning, "Don't look back." The old man reached into his coat and pulled out something small, a tarnished brass token. He pressed it into my palm. Next time the doors open, run, and whatever you do, don't turn around. I tried to ask him what would happen if I did, but before I could, the lights overhead flickered, for the first time since I boarded. The train shuddered violently, metal screaming against metal. Then, with a hiss, the doors at the end of the car slid open, and I saw a platform rushing by outside. I didn't hesitate. I bolted. I didn't look at the conductor who appeared at the far end, or the passengers now standing in the aisles, their faces twisted into something that wasn't quite human. I leapt from the car and hit the platform hard, rolling over cold concrete. When I finally dared to glance up, the train was gone. No red taillights, no rumble on the tracks, just silence and a biting wind that cut through my coat. I looked at the token in my hand. It was warm, like it had absorbed the old man's last bit of life. On one side, an engraving read, "Last stop, nowhere." I never saw that train again, but sometimes when I stay too late at work and the night stretches too long, I hear it. The low rumble of wheels on old tracks, the whisper of brakes. And I remember the old man's words. It's always hungry for the ones who linger. So if you ever find yourself on an empty platform long after the last train has gone and you hear a whistle in the dark, don't get on. Because some trains don't take you home. They take you where the lost things go, and they never bring you back.